Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of a Nation United Canada edition. Right here on FIFA 19's career mode. The Canadians of Kaiserslautern are back. 2 episodes in 2 days. How's that for a decent pace? We started off the last episode, of course, it was the early stages of our 3rd season in the Bundesliga after narrowly surviving relegation, and hopefully things go well for us in this episode. A couple of moves that could be viewed as controversial, if not mistakes. The departure of the center pack to both Wolves and Real Betis, moving out some players who weren't really going to have time. A veteran like Mandrakar James, who I felt like it was better to get rid of rather than have him eventually complain about the lack of playing time due to the contract he was on. We moved on from a lot of players, so now, of course, the pressure is on those who are still here, including the 2 younger center backs that we are rolling with, really just the 3. And that's going to be, I think, a main theme of this episode as we look to make a lot of progress through this season, is not only how do they develop, but whether or not we can find the players through the scouting that we desperately need. We need another center back. We would arguably, hopefully, get a better right back as well to eventually replace Mathis. His ceiling is, he's close to it. It's not that far off. So hopefully we can find these players that we need, as Josh Haber will finally be sold. And what we're going to do here is, maybe stay alive for the first month. Wilson is also on the way out. And we get a transfer offer for Russell Williams from Sevilla. So Anthony Wilson is off to Brighton in January for 14.6. He is, of course, the left wing that we have. And then Russell Williams, whose potential fell as well. Somebody else I've been considering getting rid of. And again, with Wilson, it's okay. Good depth player. But if we find someone in the youth academy who would benefit more from that and eventually be able to replace people, is it worth bringing them in? I'm risking the current depth of the team to try and get prospects that we have and will eventually find to the forefront and get them ready sooner rather than later, as, hey, flat out, there are doubts with some of the players that we have now. So Wilson's on the way out. Russell Williams, 76 overall, 20 years old is great, but he has a lower ceiling as well with great potential. If I can sell him to Sevilla, I will. And again, hopefully, not only with the players that we currently have in the youth academy, but hopefully the players that we will be continuing to find, and the players that we already have will continue to be able to step forward over the next year or so. So what we'll do here, actually, is we will skip ahead because this is about making progress in this episode. And we have a lot of games this month. We play Cologne here, or the back half of the month, Stuttgart in a couple of days, Bayer Leverkusen, and Frankfurt at the end of the month. Heading into October, we have international games at the start for league matches, Hertha Berlin, Augsburg, and Werder Bremen. And we do have a DFB-Pokal matchup, which the real-life Kaiserslautern managed to win a game this past weekend in said tournament. The real-life team has been more successful than we have been in that tournament in this series thus far. Hopefully that changes, but I'll see you guys in a moment, probably when we have a scouting report back. Alright, quick little update here, although we do have a player in the short list for Player of the Month for September, which is pretty nice. Quick little update on the results. 1-0 loss to Cologne, a draw against Stuttgart, a draw against Leverkusen, but we did beat Frankfurt, so still not in the best form as of late, but as you can see, still 6th in the league table. We do have our scouting report to get to, and unfortunately, outside of Larry Cooper, it's a little bit rough. We'll be holding off on signing the rest of them. Of course, we do have that 5-star scout now, and we need him to deliver the goods. As we take a look here at the rest of the players available, Henry's an interesting one. We need a closer range on him. But again, someone like Larry Kerr will absolutely be signed soon. Carson Morgan will absolutely be signed soon. And Russell Sullivan, you talk about the guys that are on the way out, in the midfield in particular. And we do have built-in replacements now with Morgan and with Sullivan. Those might be the 2 guys that we need to take over, especially when you look at potentially moving on from Kay and Piet. Of course, a lot of our plans right now, it's about making sure that we stay in the Bundesliga while also getting that next, generation of this team ready. Not to say we're still not going to be in the Alphonso Davies, Clark, winning window, but obviously, like what we did with the center backs, it's about the future a little bit. So the month ahead, of course, you already know the international games, 3 league games, and the big tournament game. If we lose, now it had been proposed that if after last year, if we lost, that I play those cup matches now. If we lose this year in the first round again, moving forward, I'll probably play those cup matches just so we can win at some point. I'll see you guys at the beginning of the next month. Again, we want to make a good amount of progress. I imagine the middle of this episode towards the end, or at least the back half, will be very heavy in the January window because, of course, there will be more changes to the team then and there. Alright guys, a quick update here, just shy of the beginning of the new month of November. Currently down to 9th in the Bundesliga table. Still mixed results across the board. We ended up losing to France in an international friendly after crushing Romania. We drew Hertha Berlin. We lost to Augsburg. We drew Werder Bremen. So league results not so good. But for the first time, we won a game in the DFB-Pokal. Do you believe in miracles? We beat Freiburg 2-0. So hey, we're at least winning some games here and there. Now, I actually want to get to training really quickly. We have our other goalkeeper up to a decent level, so we're working on Sullivan and Kerr, mainly, of course, trying to get Kerr's stamina up. The good thing is, I think Sullivan is going to be that 4th choice center back. You'll get a look at him in a second. Of course, our scouting report will be coming back very soon. Apparently, we have a player injury, too, that we're going to have to deal with. Not sure who that is. It's Jonathan David, from the looks of it, so he might miss this one game. So let's take a look at this scouting update, and we'll see if we have anything new. So you know what, normally I don't even bother because it doesn't really matter. Rogerson's not going to be good enough. Max White isn't going to be good enough. Eric Park, of course, not good enough. Even Eric Gibbs. Even that high range isn't where I want it. Again, we are looking for the best of the best. Wayne Wolf is not it. Jay Fraser is not it. Walter Mathis might be. We'll sign him for now. And David Park will not be. So rough goings right now from this 5-star scout. Not exactly a great beginning to his employment with us. Now, Tyler Evans, again, 75 to an 89. I need to know for sure what that potential is, but he's getting to the point at a 63 overall where he's going to be, asked to be signed soon. Larry Kerr is a beast, 86 to a 92. Obviously, we train him up. Bam. He's hopefully the striker for the future. I mean, Jonathan David struggled over the past 2 years. This might be the guy to carry us to that next level. Dennis Henry, I got to be honest at this point, 78 to an 86. He's going to be gone. Russell Sullivan's still looking okay, though. Morgan's still looking okay. Eric Bliska at an 81 to an 87. I'd rather sign than the other dude we just cut. And then Sullivan, 88 to a 94. So I think you can see why we're looking to train him up. I had a feeling I accidentally signed Peter Smith. We'll get rid of him. And we'll eventually see how good Walter Mathis is. Larry Cooper, we still don't know for sure. But there are a couple of guys here. Kerr, we know we're going to sign. Sullivan, Morgan, Bliska, and the other Sullivan here. We know those 5 at the very least will be on this team in the very near future, probably as soon as January. Because if you take a look at the squad here, again, goalkeeping-wise, Cooper and Taylor now at a 73. We're golden there. Between Gagnon and White, I mean, they're eventually going to be sold, more than likely. So that's pretty straightforward. We do still desperately need that better right back. And then when it comes to center backs, of course, James Park, Taylor, and then I believe his name was Sullivan. I don't know, still shaky on some of the names in the youth academy. But that other guy will be joining up. But we have a lot of people leaving. I mean, we have all those right mids out on loan. But Russell Williams is leaving. He's going to Sevilla. Evan White's going to Salzburg. We're still trying to sell Jordan White. Alex Cameron's going to Sion at the end of this, or at the, not the end of the season, but it is in January. Easy for me to say. So a lot of moves happening. Josh Haber's on the way out. Victor Olsen is still listed, even though he's getting better. Again, his ceiling is approaching. And it's not the worst thing in the world to have him at an 80 or an 81 on this team. But he's not going to be able to get the play time and he's eventually going to be replaced anyway, because we want to have a second choice guy be somebody that we're developing into being the eventual replacement. I don't think we can rely on Olsen to be that replacement. So the next month ahead, we have a game against Hanover, Mainz, and Schalke in the league. We play Belgium and Wales in international friendlies. We need to start picking up the pace a little bit and scoring goals in the league. Let's hope we can do that. Otherwise, the questions over David and Laren and Alphonso Davies and whether or not they're long for this team, they're still going to be there. They're going to persist, and at the very least, maybe they stay long enough for us to develop their replacements, and then they go. Maybe it is for the best to say, hey, if we get relegated, that's fine, but let's just develop this team over the course of a season. It's frustrating, but for now, we'll see what happens. I'll talk to you guys in the next month. Not good, but not great would sum up the past month. We are still 8th in the league table, which is nice. We're not hovering towards the relegation zone. To take a look here, though, we did lose to Hanover. Actually beat Belgium and Wales, which is shocking. Beat Mainz 2-1, drew Schalke. So again, the league results not great. International-wise, though, we're doing okay. It's kind of surprising. We're currently on 17 points, 9 points to be in the drop zone. So Hanover, Mainz, and Dusseldorf not doing well at all. But you can see the separation there from us and the teams at the top, teams at the bottom. Relatively okay with it. The one downside is Kyle Laren picked up an injury, as did Brault Gallard, who's out for 3 months. There goes our backup right back. Again, need to hope for a high-level right back here, please. Pierre Park will be signed for the moment. Jordan Sullivan, despite us not really needing a goalkeeper, will be signed for the moment. Russell Kerr will definitely be signed. And that's it for that group. So, not too bad. We at least got a couple of options. Let's take a look at the academy as it stands. Tyler Evans, 79 to 89 range. We need to know for sure. Like, if that could be like an 82 to an 87, that would be amazing. Park, of course, time will tell. Morgan, Kerr, Sullivan, of course, we just signed. And the other Sullivan here I'm excited for. The good thing is about Jordan Sullivan, he's a 66 out of the gates. That is insane. I can't imagine we won't end up signing him. And then, of course, Bliska's still looking good. Walter Sullivan's still looking good. A lot of Sullivans. Larry Cooper looking very good as a cam at this point. So nobody that I'm going to be dropping this time. Of course, we're not going to sign anybody until we absolutely have to. But the Youth Academy is looking pretty damn good in terms of high-end talent. So the road ahead before a big January where we see a decent amount of players depart: Wolfsburg, Hoffenheim, Leipzig, and Dortmund in the league. Werder Bremen in the DFB-Pokal. So not exactly the easiest schedule. As long as we don't lose every game, I'll be fairly happy with it. Let's see what happens before we get to a big-time January. All right, we're here towards the end of December. We have just finished up with that game against Dortmund. Of course, January is going to be very busy for us, so let's take a look at what happened. As we beat Wolfsburg 1-0, lost to Hoffenheim, beat Werder Bremen, so we are still in the DFB Pokal. We also beat RB Leipzig before losing to Dortmund, so at the very least, we're not losing every game. Currently in 9th as it stands, just 5 points out of the top 6. So quite happy. Not happy about Victor Olsen suffering a torn hamstring, which is likely to prevent me from selling him, which might be viewed as a very good thing from some of you who might be a little bit, we'll say a little bit unhappy, and perhaps rightfully so, with my approach towards the transfers and getting rid of some of our second choice players. But again, I don't know. We'll see, right? It's one of those time will tell situations where if this works out and these players do develop to the high level that I want them to develop at, we're going to be fine. It's just a matter of if that works out for us. So as we head into January, again, there will be a lot of departures once we make the jump over. And Eric Bliska wants out of the Youth Academy, the first player out of that group that we were looking for in terms of taking over for the future. Now, in terms of updates for anybody else, I'm not really seeing anything. Bliska's a 63 overall, 81 to 87. We will be signing him. Let's go take a look at his attributes. Of course, player work rates and weak foots and skill moves and such. So let's see what we have here for Mr. Bliska. High, low, 3-star, 4-star. I will take that. Very good. 74 dribbling out of the gates. So certainly, I mean, as a center forward in a cam, definitely better as a cam than a main striker. But that is not too bad. But still only showing great potential, which again, that's not a death sentence. We know that's like an 81 to an 87, but it makes me think it's going to be on the lower end overall. You know, low 80s as his cap, and we're never going to be able to beat a Bayern Munich or a Borussia Dortmund consistently with the team being made up of players like that. It's just not going to happen. We need the higher levels, so I don't know if we'll be able to sell him immediately, but if we can, cool. But he's not going to be a part of the future for the moment. We are only going to look for those extremely high-end players, so that's tough. I was hoping he'd be, you know, the true range would be like 85 and up, get him into that exciting, you know, role, and then obviously the something special would be the best, so a little bit disappointing. Russell Williams off to Sevilla, Anthony Wilson to Brighton, Josh Haber to Tigre, you have Alex Cameron to Sion, and Evan White to Salzburg. Those are the departures. Let's take a look here at the report, and that is an absolutely abysmal report. That is the only way to put it. We are just going to get rid of every player. We don't really have to, but screw it. Just get out of my sight. Wow, so much for this 5-star scout paying dividends for us. It has been rough going thus far. So let's take a look at the hub here. Again, goalkeeping-wise, we're still fine with those two. We'll see what happens with White and Gagnon in the future. Brockelard being hurt, he's out for another 7 weeks, so we only have the one right back in Mathis, which sucks, but hey, he's the guy at the moment. And in terms of the center back, still looking good, of course. The left back, still looking fine. I'm very tempted to recall this group here, just to see who should stay and who should go. To be honest, I might. I mean, we've seen each of them make some improvements. So, you know, let's do that, especially too because we moved on from some other players. So Morgan is exciting. Wayne Michaels also still exciting. Great potential for him. Josh Moore is exciting, and Evan Morgan still listed as great. All right, so to back up Clark, we're going to look to sell Wayne Michaels now, but Josh Moore will be staying, hopefully. Although, you know what? If I can loan out either Moore or Morgan, then so be it. So the other Morgan's going to go. Brett Morgan is going to stay. So whatever one stays between Moore and Morgan, I'm cool with. Of course, in terms of left mid, right mids, we're still trying to sell Justin Cunningham. Hopefully we can. I've had, as you can see, at least those 3 offers fall apart for him. So hopefully he moves out sooner rather than later. That would be very nice. And then one of those guys will take over. So at least we have that established. That plan is in place. Again, Jordan White we're trying to move on from. And in terms of the backup left mid options, we got to recall probably both of these guys as well. Kenneth Mathis is up by 2, and I think he'll be on the way out. Walter Sullivan will be staying, though. So Sully's good, as if this team is going to be made up of just nothing but Sullivans at this point. But Kenneth Mathis will be on the way out, and we're going to look to train up Walter Sullivan. He'll be the second choice option. Again, Victor Olsen, I don't think we'll be able to sell him because of that hamstring injury, but it's tough right now striker-wise. We have David and Laren, and in terms of the grades, I mean, David, 10 goals in 21 appearances, just 3 goals in 15 for Kyle Laren. I gotta be honest, if I can get rid of him, I'm gonna do it, because we know we have that younger striker coming in who might be able to replace Jonathan David. Laren's just not getting it done. We may very well move to a one-striker formation with David leading the way. So changes are absolutely going to continue as we take that approach of trying to get literal superstars, just nothing but superstars on the team. Our transfer budget is through the roof. Of course, there is nothing I can do with it, though. Unless we were to start saying, like, hey, exemption players, which isn't going to happen. That's only going to happen if I get extremely desperate, which I am not there yet. So, I still am hoping that Morgan and Russell Sullivan can improve on their own before we get rid of Piet and Kay. Cooper, of course, is going to be a future star for this team. We got a lot of guys that I'm intrigued by here that should be able to be future stars. But Larry Kerr is definitely going to be the replacement at striker long term. We can't sign him yet, but we will be able to soon enough. So what we're going to do here is, because of the potential for even more transfer offers, and of course the January break's in effect, let's go ahead and stay live with this one at this point, as you have improvements. The 3 center backs, all at least towards the mid-70s now, so the center back issue pretty much going to have resolved itself by the end of this season. Again, we are still in 9th, 23 points through 17 games, as we already get a transfer offer for Eric Bliska. And we'll see, I believe that's a Polish club. We can see if we can send him out. Again, I was hoping there was a slight chance he was going to be more towards the exciting range. Rather, I mean, potential to be special was obviously out the door. That's, 90 and up, but I was hoping that would work out for us. It did not. So that'll do it for that. We get Larry White, the goalkeeper, back from loan. So he's been gone for a year. Let's go take a look at him. He is also at potential to be special. That's a tough one. So we have 3 really, really good goalkeepers. So what we're going to do is we're going to add Larry Taylor to the loan list, and we're going to add Larry White back to the loan list as well. And whichever one of them goes first, cool. The other one stays as the second choice keeper if need be. So the goaltending depth right now is on point. As scouting-wise, we're going to continue to focus on these 3 center backs, although I kind of want to get Sullivan and Kerr to a bit higher level. I mean, getting James and Park and Taylor up to where they need to be is for the best. It just sucks for Kerr because we really need to get that stamina up there. It's a concern that he's never really going to have a high stamina total, because you see where the dribbling, ball control, and sprint speed is. It's already starting to get difficult to train those up. I might have to just change it to, having him improve his shooting stats sooner rather than later, because we are approaching diminishing returns on that front. We got a transfer offer for Wayne Michaels, Empoli, the Italian club, in for him. Wayne, I was hoping it would work out, buddy, but again, higher ceilings, it's what we're looking for, and nothing but. So let's take a look. Bliska not leaving just yet. We've had a lot of transfer offers break down, unfortunately. We got another one immediately from another Polish club. I fully expect Eric Bliska to continue to be on this team. He's not going to leave. That's just not going to happen. But it would be nice if it did. Let's go ahead and stop the sim as we get a transfer offer for Evan Morgan, the right mid, right? Indeed, 72 overall, 19 years old. But again, a ceiling of low 80s, and we need players that are better than that. So in terms of training, you know what? Let's take Kerr and add in shooting training for him to get those up. Because obviously in the 40s and 50s, those will go up fairly quickly, and that'll really start to boost the overall to a really good level, to the point where once he's signable, I mean, we might not even have to sign him until he demands to be signed. That would be ideal. We get a loan offer for Larry Taylor, Bologna. The Bologna in for Larry Taylor. We'll see if that goes through. My baloney. We'll see if that goes through. Hopefully it does get him some first team time after we trained him up for the majority of the first half of the season. And we'll see what we're dealing with here. Morgan has been sold. I have quite a few emails here before this game against Leipzig. And we'll see what we're dealing with here. So Taylor has officially been loaned out, which is nice. Morgan has been sold, and Michaels has been sold. We also get Victor Olsen back, so there is a chance he will still leave before the window closes. But he won't be starting this game. So this is what the team looks like at the moment. It's still a little bit rough. of course, in terms of overall depth, but we're making it work for us. So, Larry White, we're going to remove you from the loan list, buddy. You are the second choice keeper, as Larry Taylor is out on loan. So, at least in terms of goalkeepers, we're looking pretty good. Now, what I did want to check was who we wanted to put emphasis on in the midfield. So, again, Moore and Morgan are both fine. White's on the way out. Mathis is on the way out. All right, so White, Mathis, and Bliska are the lower rated guys that we're going to look to avoid using here. So Mathis, I guess, yeah, Moore and Sullivan are all good. So White we're going to avoid, Bliska we're going to avoid, and we're going to move up Morgan, and of course Brault Gallard, currently hurt. So that is the current setup. Those three at the bottom we're not really going to worry about. Kyle Laren is back. Of course, Olsen's going to be out, so we might as well just have White on the bench. Not even going to bother with Mr. Bliska. So a lot of options on the wing here. The starting 11, pretty much what you would expect. Peter Gagnon up to an 85 at this point, which is just tremendous. You know, as long as we have Kyle Laren, we might as well stay with this formation. Of course, we're also trying to get rid of Cunningham, which will hopefully happen because, of course, Moore and Morgan, either one, have that higher ceiling. But, yeah, we definitely are going to need that help in terms of striking depth. So that'll still be the starting 11 for the moment. Again, whether or not it's the right choice, it'll be a tough call. I mean, guys like Williams was, 20 years old in the 76s. We get fucking dominated by Leipzig. But Simeone and Kramaric are better than anybody we have. That's not all that surprising. But getting rid of those guys, knowing, that their ceiling is only the low 80s, we could have a well-rounded team. But is having that, that well-rounded team going to get us to where we want to be? Not really. It might get us to the Europa League. From there, though, I mean, it would take a lot of luck. So we know where we are right now. We should be good enough to hold in the Bundesliga again without me having to step in to save the day. But again, even if we get relegated, I'm cool with that. We'll just quick sim that season, and it'll be essentially a training montage of us just doing nothing but putting in work with the guys in the youth academy. Hell, about time we get relegated, we'll loan out Alphonso Davies, we'll loan out Jonathan David, and let them come back the next year once we're looking good to go. So Mathis's deal fell apart, but he immediately has another offer. Hopefully he can leave as well. Please delete these emails, and we're going to let Walter Cameron play. It's not the first time this season he's wanted to play. When he does, we normally just sub out Gagnon. Unfortunately, the majority of this team is in bad form right now, and there's not really a ton that I can do about it. So we'll see if they can turn it around. We need a win here over Hoffenheim, although I doubt we will get it. They're in decent form. Although it is a home game, maybe we'll get a little bit of luck. And we at least get a draw. 78th minute goal from Davies as we approach deadline day. And we'll see what we're dealing with here. We're in the quarterfinals of the DFB-Pokal against Bayer Leverkusen. As Walter Cameron, of course, happy for the game. Let's see what we're looking at training-wise here again. Any improvement? Kerr and Sullivan both up by 1. Again, I'm excited to see what Kerr will be eventually. He's still just 15, so he'll be developing very, very quickly for us. And like I said, he might be the guy. Maybe it's not Davies. Maybe it's not Jonathan David. As we get a transfer offer for Kyle Laren, $20 million from Lille in France. If that goes through, I'm cool with it. Laren just hasn't been the guy that I was hoping he would be for us. Unfortunately, like you saw, 3 goals in 15 games. I think no assists or 1 assist. It hasn't been what we've needed it to be from him, unfortunately. Cameron's still in good form. We're actually going to leave him in, and we'll just roll with this team in this tournament game. So let's see the quarterfinal of the DFB-Pokal. Can we get a win on the road against Leverkusen? I doubt it with some of the names they have, although Jonathan David scores in the 9th minute, but with Hrdecki in goal. Limerock just picked up a yellow card. They got some decent names there. But we do have the lead through the first half. Can we hold on? Can we move to the semifinal? That is the hope. Cunningham on for Laren. 20 minutes left. Come on, boys. Hold on. Hold on, please. This might be our only chance for success. We get the win. 1-0, 1-0. Call it what you will. That is a gigantic victory for us. Richarlison's on the move. And, of course, we don't have to worry about that press conference. So, we're going to the semifinals. We went from not winning a single game in that tournament, as Kyle Laren is officially gone. We'll talk about that more in a second. Not winning a single game in that tournament to going all the way to the semifinals. And Kyle Laren's gone. Kyle Laren is gone. Whether or not that's the right move, I don't know. I genuinely don't. But I don't feel like, I mean, is it going to hurt to lose him? Potentially. As Mathis has also been sold and we get a transfer offer for Jordan White. It might hurt us long term to get rid of him. At the very least, it will probably hurt short term, but or hurt, depending on whether or not you speak proper English like I do. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if this works out. It's a little bit of a desperation move, though, and maybe just a bit too much panic from last year's underperformance. Time will tell if this works out for us. I'd like to think we still have the team and the talent, but you talk about the guys we've gotten rid of. The center pack, Laren's gone. Mandrakar James is gone. We've seen a lot of names, and look at that forehead. We've seen a lot of names and a lot of faces leave this team as Jordan White is on the move, I believe, to the Netherlands. And with 3 hours left, I don't think we'll have any more moves here. So this team is pretty much going to be finalized. And we'll take a look at, of course, the big moves and what the squad is looking like at this point. There might be a heavy reliance on youth academy players to help fill out the roster. Canada, of course, we will be sticking with. They want us to qualify for the World Cup, and hopefully we will be allowed to. Prize money, 1.2 million from the from the Pokal, which is nice. The scouting report, what do we have? Tyler Moore could be worth it. And Ethan Morgan could also be worth it, but we really don't need another goalkeeper. So we'll probably hold off. I'm not overly impressed by who we're finding right now. I'm a little bit scared. Evans, okay. 50-50 chance here for Evans to be great or exciting. Hopefully it's closer to exciting. He's going to want to be signed very soon. Pierre Park, we still don't know. Again, Morgan and Russell Sullivan, we know what their potential is. And again, it's 50-50. Are they going to be great or are they going to be exciting? What side of the 85 potential are they going to lie on? Larry Kerr, we already know, is at least in the exciting range. Jordan Sullivan's a beast of a goalkeeper. Tyler Moore, time will tell. Walter Sullivan, we know, is going to be great. Russell Kerr is going to be cut. He's not going to work. Walter Mathis isn't going to work for us. Larry Cooper, though, also looking great. So there is some potential here. It just sucks that I can't say, hey, look for a right back specifically. Not being able to do that really hurts. And amongst Canadians right now, I mean, again, we have the highest rated goalkeeper available. We have some ridiculous talent on the team aside from him. I mean, you look at the squad otherwise, right backs, we have the highest rated right back and two of the highest rated in general. I mean, we have Brault Gallard. Of course, Godinho is hurt. We have the best left back in the world for Canadians. Gutierrez, of course, the second best, but we do have Cameron, who's only 2 overall points weaker. So, like I said, that's the one benefit to running the national team is if somebody's available, we will know about it because they'll be eligible to be chosen for international duty. As we get a player back, and we'll see what these emails are about. Victor Olsen wants to play. We're at least going to have use for Olsen over the next little while. But I think what we're going to do is go for a formation change here. Unfortunately, both Moore and Morgan stayed. Now, Clark and Davies, neither are inside players by default, but honestly, I think that's what I'm going to look to do, is maybe go with, and what would the setup be here? What would the setup be is the question. We could switch to a 4-3-3. I'm not totally against that. We do have options. It just depends on who plays. Depends on who plays and where, but maybe if we have another guy in the midfield instead, we'd be looking okay. So obviously the reserves right now are empty. They are empty. But Sullivan, Morgan, and Moore are all ours. We'll take White, put him there. So Olsen will be in, and actually, as a matter of fact, I mean, it's going to be Bliska, actually, that takes a seat. So congrats to White. You'll at least get to sit on the bench. And obviously, our reserves right now are the Youth Academy. So that's not a bad setup right there, to be honest, running with Olsen. I don't hate that. I was tempted to try and find a way to get Moore, Morgan, and Sullivan into the starting 11. But for the moment, I think we're okay. That's going to be the team moving forward. Obviously, right now, the depth is hurting. I'd like to think this team is still good enough, and you would have seen there, at least I just saw, we're still ahead of Bayern Munich. Barely. We're 2 points clear with a game at hand. So a team like Bayern Munich struggling at this point, I'd like to think we'll still be okay. And we do get the 1-0 win. Jonathan David on a penalty. We beat Leverkusen. They had some big names on that team still. So overall, we're okay. We're up into 9th. 83 GM rating at this point, or manager rating, as we continue to focus on these center backs here. And you see some of the individual grades, like the tackling ability of Park is insane. And we're starting to get to the point with James and Park where it's almost diminishing returns for training, and we'll be substituting them out. Victor, you're welcome. What I want to do is take a look here as we get ready to wind things down sooner rather than later. But what I wanted to do was take a look at how the team compares to other squads in Germany. So to quickly take a look, we are currently rocking this setup. So 82, 75, 77, and an 86 rated keeper. So compared to Cologne, I mean, we have the higher rated attack, just based off of average. They have the advantage in the midfield. The defense is close, and the goalkeeping is about even. So we can compete with Cologne. Leverkusen have us pretty much, actually, you can't even really say handled. I mean, we have a 1 overall point better attack. They are much better in the midfield. The defense is even, and we have the edge in terms of goalkeeping. We can compete with them. Gladbach, we have a better attack. They're better in the midfield, better in defense. We're better in goal, so it evens out. Leipzig, we're better in attack. They're better in midfield, slightly better in defense. We're better in goalkeeping. There isn't a team right now that has us beat, that we've seen yet, that has us beat 3 out of 4. Is that Robert Lewandowski who went to Schalke? That'd be insane. We have a better attack than Schalke. They're better in the midfield, slightly better in defense. We're much better in terms of goalkeeping at this point. Hoffenheim, better attack for us. They're better in the mid. Slight edge on defense, 2 points. We're better in terms of goalkeeping. We are better than Stuttgart. Well, we're even with Stuttgart because of the attack and goalkeeping. Wolfsburg, better attack, even on defense, much better goalkeeping, if that's who they're actually running with full time. Werder Bremen, they only have the edge in the midfield. And of course, that's not all that surprising, I suppose. Mainz, we have the advantage. Actually, we're about even. They have the edge in the midfield. They have the slight edge on defense, too. Dortmund is the first team that we've looked at that has us beat everywhere and tied in terms of goalkeeping. And Dusseldorf, we are nearly better than every result. They have the slight edge in terms of the midfield, 1 point. We are better than Augsburg. So really, right now, it's just Dortmund and Bayern, from the looks of it, that have us beat in 3 out of 4 categories, despite the fact that we've gotten rid of some people. So I gotta be honest, I'm still somewhat optimistic that this team will be able to get the job done and at the very least keep us in the goddamn Bundesliga for the next season. I would like to think that's possible. That should be possible. We should be fine. But time will tell. I mean, right now we're in 9th. We'll see where we are heading into the next game on the weekend against Stuttgart, as we get another transfer offer for Bliska. Logano in for him. Of course, looking to get rid of him as soon as possible. But we'll see where we are in the league table at this point. We should still be top 10 unless Cologne play on the Saturday, which they might, and they did, and they lost. So we're in sole possession of 9th. Currently 8 points out of the top 6. But also, wow, perfect amount of distance. 8 points ahead of the drop zone, 8 points behind the top 6. We are entrenched in the mid-table right now. We'll see if we can beat Stuttgart. Let's go for this. This is the team that we should beat at this point. We need a result here, and we didn't get it. Piet scores the only goal, so a little bit frustrating there to not beat a team that we should be able to beat. But a lot of these results are 50-50. Of course, we looked at the team sheets and how we compare. A lot of 50-50 at this point. So training-wise, Larry Kerr is definitely a focus, mainly when it comes to those shooting attributes. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. And again, in terms of the dribbling, I still want to get the stamina up there, but we're almost getting to the point of diminishing returns. But we'll stick with it for the moment. Winger-wise, when it comes to the guys in the academy, I mean, we do have Sullivan, Morgan, and Moore that we can start to focus on. Midfield-wise, we know that Morgan and Russell Sullivan are good to go as well. God, you know what? Yeah, let's just get Kerr up to a useful point. These guys are at least all useful. Getting Walter Sullivan up to a 70 would be nice, but at least everybody there is usable. Larry Cooper, he did have a good potential. Let's see if we can get him up to at least a 60, to the point where it's like, okay, if we play you, you're not going to just get run over by the competition. And then again, Sullivan's up to a 61. We don't have any right backs in the system. I still can't believe that Jordan Sullivan guy is a 66. That's insane to me. But what we'll do, let's also go with Walter Sullivan, and we'll try to get him up to a usable level. We'll do that by bumping up his attacking options. So those will be the guys that we continue to focus on. I think for right now, it's okay, is this player going to be useful to us in the future? If yes, make sure they're at least a 60, then a 65, then a 70, and just try to get that natural progression up there for them. Or not natural, I guess, if it's through training. You know what, let's finish the month of February, I think. Let's do this. We're playing Dortmund. The team is, of course, set. Let's see what we can do. Actually, Cameron's no longer in good form, so we're going to take him out for James. And then let's move White to the reserves. So Brock Collard will also be in. He might have a chance to play. So we are looking all right. Let's see what we can do here. A draw against Dortmund would be great. Not exactly holding my breath for that, but it is a home game. If Olympiacos can draw Dortmund, we can draw Dortmund. And we did, 2-2. I'll take it. Olsen gets red carded off a second yellow. Clark scored in the 72nd to get us that draw. So that is an example of a pretty good result, despite not picking up all 3 points, as Olsen is suspended and also gets a transfer offer from Valencia on the same day. Again, we'll see if we can move him out heading into the next season. Now, what I also want to do here, you know what, let's take one more look. Then again, with all the Canadians we know, there's nobody that great out there. I want to keep looking. We have all that money to spend, and I can't spend it. It's like the Tranmere series by the end of it, where, again, another series where we didn't buy people. Well, granted, in that series, we didn't buy people at all. In this series, we at least brought in guys like Laren and Davies. Of course, Laren being gone now. I could have used Jonathan David as the example. But yeah, just all that money sitting there. It's painful, if anything. We have to worry about Olsen's red card. That's right. So what we will do... Let's go with Moore. We'll put Davies behind Jonathan David, and we'll see if that works. Park's actually in poor form. Cameron's back in good form. We'll bring him in as well. So there we go. That'll be the team for this game. Let me just make sure the team is set up properly, and it is. That'll be the squad for the game against Werder Bremen on the road. The Werder Bremen. The Werder Bremen. Can we get a win? No, we cannot. 90th minute tying goal for them. That's a heartbreaker as we continue to just draw game after game. Marseille in for Justin Cunningham at this point. See if that goes through. Victor Olsen is back, of course, following his suspension. So Bayern have jumped us. We're down to 10th. Still not a terrible place to be, if anything, where we expected to be, and perhaps a little bit, maybe a little bit better than we expected to be after all the transfers that we made. Again, just don't drop is what we're hoping for. Victor Olsen has officially been sold. He is off to Valencia next season. So we know Olsen's on the way out. Larry Kerr's time will be coming up very soon. Let's get rid of these guys. A low chance for it to work out for Tyler Haber, but we'll sign him. Haber, Ethan Morgan, we're going to sign for the moment. Max Wood is just an absolutely hilarious name, so we'll sign him. And the rest of these guys, it might not work out. Yeah, Sullivan will sign for the moment, for the hell of it, and then Evan Gibbs. So we know a lot of those guys, it's not going to work out tremendously well for them. But as we get ready to play Augsburg, the news comes down. Cunningham is off to France. He'll be joining up with Marseille heading into the next season. So we continue to get rid of a lot of the established depth options that we knew we wanted to move on from. Again, I'll be very intrigued once, granted, we don't even have that many players out on loan anymore, but it's going to be an even younger team next year. It really is. I think we view this as a 2 to 3 year project, and maybe we'll start going a little bit more quickly in terms of the simming, as a goal for Gagnon and David. David, the 83rd minute winner over Augsburg, which is a nice result. Maybe we'll start, maybe not going, a couple episodes to go through a season. Maybe we just handle it, hey, screw it. We're trying to get those 2 CDMs from the Youth Academy to develop to replace Kay and Piet. We know we're going to suck. Let's just see if we get dropped while we build this team up over the next few seasons. Hopefully we can essentially rebuild on the fly or retool on the fly, but stay in the Bundesliga while we do it. But you know what? I think that'll do it for this one, at the very least. A lot of games ahead, including an international break where we take where we take on Sweden and Cameroon. Then in April, we have the semifinal of the DFB-Pokal against Hoffenheim, and in May, the final 2 games of the season. So, taking a look, 24 games down. We are currently in 9th, somehow ahead of Bayern Munich, as the rebuild on the fly continues. Currently 12 points clear of the relegation game, and we're on 33 points. Mine's on 17 in the drop zone. We should be safe unless the next episode is just a disaster for us. 7 points back of Hoffenheim and Leverkusen in 6th and 5th, respectively. Dortmund, top of the league, on 47 points. So things are looking good for us, despite the nervous feelings over the changes. But we know that the changes aren't done, right? We know Olsen, Piet, and Kay, that's not long for this world. We know that Mathis is eventually going to have to be replaced. We do have some decent talent when it comes to the Youth Academy, and some decent talent in the reserve. Still, hell, playing someone like Clark or Davies as a cam might be the way to go in the interim too. We'll see what happens in the near future. That'll do it for this one, though. Again, maybe we start moving a little bit more forward. Obviously, this episode has jumped from month to month. Maybe we go 3 months at a time and see what happens, so that we can get this team into winning form. FIFA 20's out in less than a month, so yeah, it's times. Clock's ticking. Clock's ticking. That's all I'll say. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully, you're still enjoying the series. I'll talk to you later.